Okay, Hoppers. Let's talk about this movie. So it's Pixar's most recent movie. It came out last month, and I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it had an interesting plot. I thought it was yes. Let's talk about it. So the main character Mabel, who loves animals, is trying to save a pond from being taken down, and so the only way to do that is if she can get a beaver. Oh, spoiler alert, by the way. Sorry, spoilers. Okay, so she needs to get a beaver, and then if she gets one beaver, then a bunch of other beavers will come back, and then if all the beavers are living there, then they can't tear it down. So her college professor is like experimenting where they can transfer their consciousness into like this fake animal body. So Mabel does that so she can talk to the other beavers and convince them to come back. So that's pretty much the premise of the movie. Yeah, I know it's a lot like Avatar. They even acknowledge that in the movie. They're like, "Oh, this is like Avatar," because they knew. I think they put that reference in because they knew people would compare it to Avatar. So they thought if they just referenced it directly, then it wouldn't come off like they're ripping it off. But it still kind of comes off like they're ripping it off. But it was still a really good move. Well, not ripping it off, but they definitely got inspiration from it. Um, but yeah, it was a really good movie. I thought all the characters were pretty good. It was a really sad movie too. Like Mabel is a really relatable character. She she feels sad a lot and she feels like she tries to help but she always winds up making things worse, and I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. This guy, the King Beaver, was a really good character. He was really positive and he cared about everyone. He wasn't really great as a king, like he didn't always know what to do, but as a person or as a beaver, he cared. He was empathetic, he was kind hearted. So yeah, I liked his character. This character, I forgot his name, but he was funny. He looks kind of like a potato, doesn't he? He's kind of just like this like random beaver. He didn't really have a lot to do with the movie, but he was funny. The bear was funny. Um, yeah, but the villain of the movie, the mayor, was trying to build a railroad over the pond, which is why he wanted to destroy it, and um, so that was a conflict. But I feel like he wasn't really the villain because he got redeemed by the end. The real villain, I think, were the insects because they're the ones who wanted to, do some really bad stuff. They wanted to kill the mayor, and they wanted to. I don't know. They were just pretty violent, especially the butterfly and her son, the caterpillar, felt like Cersei and Joffrey, like they real from Game of Thrones. They really did. Um, yeah, and there were some pretty creepy parts of the movie too, like when the city was burning, the woods were burning, and the city started to burn, and that was really dark. And Pixar's had some dark moments, but that was really dark. I guess because of how real it was. Like there are forest fires and city fires a lot, so that made it feel real. Um, yeah. What else? I don't really have a lot to say about this movie. It was good. Do I have any Let's see. Do I have any criticisms? Um, Not really. It was a pretty good. It definitely wasn't the best Pixar movie I've ever seen, but it was pretty good. I don't really have any like bad things to say about it, other than I mean, it wasn't as good as some other Pixar movies, but I don't know. Um, but yeah, it was a good movie. I like Elio a little better. Remember Elio, the movie last year about the kid who got abducted by aliens? I thought that movie was a little bit better, but this one was really good too. They're actually pretty similar. They both involve a kid who, well, I guess Mabel's not really a kid, she's a college student, but they both involve a young person who feels out of place in the world and has a connection to another species. Like Elio liked aliens and Mabel likes animals, and they both try to help, but they end up making things worse. And yeah, so yeah, pretty similar. Um, the grandma, I really like Mabel's grandma. She's the one who kind of like inspired Mabel to say, because the reason the pond is so important to Mabel is because that's where her and her grandma used to go. Um, and like the grandma's gonna die. Like they show a montage of Mabel and the grandma, like at the pond. Like as soon as they show, or no, first they show Mabel as a child with her grandma at the pond, and the grandma's talking about about like trying to make her feel better. And as soon as you see this scene, you immediately know she's gonna die. Like you know the grandma's gonna die. And then later in the movie, they show a montage of Mabel with her grandma every time they go out to sit by the pond, and then you really know she's gonna die. And yeah, so it's pretty sad. Um, well, actually, first, hang on. First, they show Mabel and the grandma, Mabel as a child and the grandma sitting at the pond, and then I think you think like, okay, they're probably gonna kill off the grandma, and then they show the present day with Mabel as a teenager, and she has a picture of her grandma, and she's like talking to it, and that right there shows, okay, she's dead. And then later on in the movie, they show the montage with her and her grandma at the pond, and at that point you already know she's dead, but it's still sad to watch because it felt kind of like Up, like the beginning of Up when they show Carl and Ellie. So yeah, I guess Disney and Pixar just like to kill off characters to make the main character sad. Nemo lost his mom. Carl lost his wife. Uh, Elio lost his parents. Mabel lost her grandma. And the only Pixar movie that has parents is Toy Story. Well, we don't know what happened to Andy's dad. We don't, but he doesn't have a dad. And then in Brave is pretty much the only Pixar movie where she has parents, but they get turned into bears. So yeah. Anyway, I thought this was a really good movie. I'd probably give it like a 7 or like a 6.5 out of 10. What did you think of this movie? Talk about it in the comments and see you next time. Bye.